Hi everyone, Corey here from Core Solutions, and this is actually the first video that we have done that we are going to be publishing in our Learn section of our website. It's currently under development, but that's where it will be when it is released. But basically, what we do at Core Solutions is provide consulting for applications. So if you have that great app idea and you just really don't know what to do next, you come to us and we'll walk you through the steps and get that great idea actually out there and finally out there on the App Store. So that's who we are, that's what we are about. But we also know that it's very important to be an active member in the development and technology community. So that is why we are here today, to sort of share some of our knowledge and share some of the stuff that we've gone through as we've sort of set up our business and some of our technology tools that we use. So today we're going to be talking about how to set up a bug tracking system and software, which is great for collaboration, especially if, let's say, you have someone who's developing for you and giving you test builds, and you want a centralized location to be able to report bugs, request enhancements, or even improvements, and you have other team members who are doing the same thing. It's just one great place where you can actually go there. So what we chose for our bug tracking software is Jira, which is a product by Atlassian, and it's very great software. You can get a license for 10 users for $10. So that's the best deal you're going to get. If you have a small project, you're a small startup, the $10 license is probably the way to go there. It gets substantially more expensive the more users you have. But for our needs, that was great. So what we're going to do, we're going to walk you through every step you need to go ahead and get that install going for your startup or your project on the side. And after this video is done, you will have a professional bug tracking software, and it'll just be great for your productivity and efficiency. So the two tools that you're going to need before we get going here are Putty. You need to go ahead and download Putty, which we're going to use for SSH into our virtual server. And you're also going to want to download WinSCP, which we're going to use to FTP over the file. So we're going to transfer over the Jira installer. So those will be the only two tools you'll need to download. You can pause the video and go ahead and grab those now, or you can pause the video when we get to those points and download them then. But what you want to start out with first is you want to go ahead and grab the Jira installer. The installer is free. They even have trial versions, so you don't really have to pay for anything right now as far as Jira is concerned. We're going to be setting up a Linux server, and we're going to want to take the 64-bit installer for that. So go ahead and download that and have that ready for when we get to that particular step, and we'll go from there. So this screen you see here is the screen that is displayed after you log in to Amazon Web Services. I've had nothing but excellent experience with them so far. They even give you a 12-month free tier availability period where you can select any server that is in the free tier category and run it for an entire year for free. And I think they give you like 750 hours a month, so you can run one server pretty much full time for an entire year. Now the downside to that is it's just a server that has 1 gigabyte of RAM. Can't do that much to it. But if you have something like a simple API that you need to host, or other things that are pretty lightweight, it can really come in handy, especially for startups and sort of getting going before you get any initial investments. It actually shows that you've taken an initiative, you got stuff set up, and then when you get some funding coming in, you can go ahead and upgrade those servers relatively easy without having to move all of your software around and re-imaging. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and select EC2. The server we're going to be creating, and we're going to select launch instance here from the dashboard. We're going to go ahead and grab the Linux version here. Feel free to grab Red Hat or whatever operating system you want to run on, but we just go ahead and prefer the basic Linux environment here. Now here's what I was talking about earlier. You see this? It says free tier eligible. Now you can see here that you only get 1 gigabyte of memory, 1 CPU, pretty basic stuff. It's a pretty basic machine. I will unfortunately go ahead and tell you that Jira isn't really going to be supported on a machine that size. I tried it multiple times and with multiple optimizations, and just kept getting out of memory errors. Just pretty much can't run. So based on their documentation, they do recommend that you have a machine with at least 2 gigabytes of memory, and that'll at least set you up for pretty much small projects. And with up to 25 users, I think it was 5 to 10 projects and multiple issues. So we're going to go ahead and select this. The pricing for this isn't that bad, honestly. I did some calculations, and to run it full time for a month, I think it comes out to about $18. So $18 to run a bug tracking software isn't going to be that bad. That's not going to hurt your bottom line that bad, and the benefits you're going to be getting from it, in my opinion, far outweigh that $18. So for us, it was a great idea, a great investment, and we don't have to worry about the pain or the hassle of hosting our own server. So we're going to go ahead here, click review and launch. You're going to get yelled at. You're going to want to set up your security groups, and this basically sets up the firewall settings for the particular machine you're starting, which is super nice. You don't actually have to go in and edit any of the operating system firewall settings. You can do it all straight from the Amazon Web Services interface. We're going to go ahead and, just for the sake of this tutorial, we're just going to leave anywhere for our source, but you can do my IP or set custom IPs to allow different people these different rules. So you'll want to do SSH, because we'll be doing that later, and then you'll want to go ahead and set up port 8080, which is what Jira is going to be running on. We're just going to go, for this tutorial, we're going to use basic HTTP on 8080. You can set it up to be secured as well, but maybe that'll be a video for another time. So go ahead and review and launch. And they're going to be friendly and go ahead and tell you that this is going to cost you a little bit of money. As soon as you kick it off, they're going to start charging you. So just keep that in mind. And then we can go ahead and click launch. Now it's going to tell us that we need a key pair. So we're going to create a new key pair here. Name it test. And go ahead and download it. Now, one interesting thing, my apologies, test already exists for me. We'll call this Jira testing, and you want to go ahead and download that key pair. I can't say this enough, you need to put that Jira testing.pim file in a very safe place. If you lose that, you will not be able to access your Amazon virtual server anymore. So keep that in a safe place, put it on Dropbox, put it in version control, whatever you're using for version control, and just make sure it's somewhere where you're not going to lose it. So we've got that, and we're going to go ahead and launch the instance. Now this is really nice. It's already set up and the instance has been launched, so we're fantastic there. And once that's launched, we can come back over here to our dashboard, and we'll see that we have running instances here, and we'll go ahead and click these, and here it is. You can see it's getting started. It's giving us our public DNS and our public IP address, and all the other information, and private IPs. I'm just going to leave that available to see because I'm going to delete this guy immediately after the video, so not a big deal there. But we do have the public DNS that we're going to use. So now we're going to move over and pull up our putty and get connected to it. Currently, now you can see that it went to a running state, so it's running. We should be able to connect up to it with putty. But before that, we need to generate our private key. So go ahead and pause the video. If you don't have putty, install it now and come on back. But we're gonna go and do putty gen and generate the key file. Here we will load our Jira testing.pim. Make sure to change this to all files or it won't show up. It defaults to just .ppks. Make sure to set that to all files. It'll tell you it successfully imported it, and then you want to go ahead and save the private key. Yes. And we'll just call this Jira testing as well. It's a .ppk file, so that's fine. So you should be good there with putty. You've got your key file, and now we can actually do an SSH onto the machine. So let me get that pulled up so you can see it better. Alright, we've got our putty configuration pulled up here, and we are going to type in our IP address or public DNS, whichever one you want to use here. You'll go over here to SSH. This is where we need to set our key. Private key for authentication. Go ahead and choose the PPK file. And if you want to save this session, you can go ahead and give it a name. Jira testing. Save. And then we'll go ahead and open her up. And alright, we should be right on in. You want to go ahead and log in as EC2 user. That will be the default. It'll authenticate your key, and then you'll be in on your machine. If you run a top, you should see the amount of memory that's available, 2 gigs, and other information. And you've got a running virtual machine. How easy was that? And at a price of only $18 a month, it can run completely full time. So one of the things we're going to need in order to run Jira is a back-end database. They do supply a built-in internal database, but you don't want to use that, especially for production. So you want to set up your own. And what we're going to set up today is a Postgre database. It's pretty straightforward, pretty easy. The learning curve isn't too bad. So we're going to walk you through that real fast in order to get that set up. So let's go ahead and we'll do sudo yum list. Now we just want to list all the different installs that we can grab, and we want to grab the Postgres server. So get that name there. We'll go ahead and do the install here. We'll say yes, that is okay. And our install of Postgre is now complete. Now we need to set it up, start the database, and create the Jira database that'll be used later on. So let's do that. When you installed Postgre, it created a Postgres user. So let's go ahead and sudo su into that. As you can see, now we are in there. It created a backups and data directory. Now this command is very important. We need to initialize the database. So run the command initdb, specify the data directory, and we'll get that fired off and moving. Alright, as you can see, that worked fantastically, and now we can start the database. Go ahead, and I like to use this command just so we get the log file going, and it'll be all fired up. So now the Postgres server has been started up. Setting up the database was just that simple, and we can move on and start working on our Jira installation. Let's go ahead and create the Jira database that will be used. That's all you gotta. That's the only command you gotta run. Create DB, and then we'll name the database JiraDB. So we'll come back to that later as well. I'll go ahead and exit out of Postgres user, and we'll just sit here and wait. So next step, we want to go ahead and FTP over our Jira installation files. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright, you'll want to go ahead and pull up WinSCP, which I told you to download earlier. If you haven't downloaded it yet, go ahead, pause the video, go grab the install from online, and get this guy installed on your machine. Once again, we'll use the DNS name from our server. Go ahead and grab that. And then, once again, we need to specify our private key. So let's go ahead and we'll go into Advanced. And this should look familiar. The private key file. Specify the file. And you can go ahead and save this configuration if you want as well. It might come in handy. And then select the login button. And it'll be logging in. It'll ask you to continue. And we'll say yes. It'll ask us to specify the username, which we will supply EC2 user. And then it'll pull up and it'll allow you to navigate to where you have the Jira download. So go ahead and navigate to that position. It is currently in our downloads directory. We'll select OK there. And we want to select the Atlassian Jira 6.4.11, or the latest version if you're watching this at a later date. And just go ahead and drag that guy on over. Now, it is going to take a few minutes, looks like about a 3-minute download. So let me go ahead and I'll stop the video and we'll come back after the download's finished. Alright, after about 3 or 4 minutes, you should have the download, depending on your internet connectivity speeds. But as you can see, we've got it right here on our virtual server. So there's a few commands we need to run before we actually do the install. We're going to have to chmod to make it executable. So now we can actually run the executable, and it's going to walk us through what's going on here. Now what we're going to do is, might see this error. It says you don't have administrator rights to this machine. So we're actually going to stop this install and run it again as sudo. And that way we'll get all the administrator rights and all that good stuff. So it's going to ask you, make sure you want to install this on your computer. Yes, we do. And what we're going to go over in this tutorial is the express install with default settings. We'll go ahead and select one for that. And if you want to install it as a service, you can say yes here. I think it's a lot easier to do it this way. You can just run the service stop and service start commands later on, and when the server boots up, it'll automatically start the Jira server. So save yourself some headache and go ahead and install this as a service. And it'll extract all of the files. Might take just a minute here. And when it finishes, it will actually tell you you can now access Jira through HTTP localhost port 8080. And that's so exciting. So now Jira is installed on your Amazon virtual server, and now we're going to go try and access it. So go ahead and pull your browser back up, and you're going to want to go ahead and copy that public DNS again. We will navigate to here, specify port 8080. Now, if you remember correctly, we opened up port 8080 when we were specifying the security group for this particular virtual server. So we should be able to access this, no problems. Alright, excellent. As you can see, we're going to the Jira setup screen, just as we had expected. And this is going to give us a few different setup options. We're going to go ahead and say, I'll set it up myself. They will set it up for you, and that is the version where they build in their own database, and it obviously takes up more memory. There's certain perks to running it that way if you just want to test it out. But we're going to do that I'll set it up myself option. It's really not that much more difficult. So go ahead and click that, click next, and we're going to specify my own database. It's recommended for production environments, so go ahead and take care of that now. Save yourself the headache for later. As you recall, we installed Postgres. The host name is going to be localhost. The database is going to be JiraDB. And we're going to specify the user and password as Postgres. Now, you could have created a new Jira specific username and password for the database, but that's your call. We're just going to use the default here. Nothing wrong with that, since this is specifically a machine that's dedicated to Jira. I don't think we'll have any issues. Go ahead and test your connection. We get the database connection test was successful, and then we'll move on. Now this part, it might take a little bit. It's going ahead and it's doing the database setup, so wait till that finishes. Alright, and after the database finishes setup, you'll get this application properties screen. Go ahead and give your application a title. The name of the installation, we'll call this Support Solutions. And you can make it public or private. So public, anyone can sign up. Private, only administrators can create the new users. So depending on your needs, you can specify one of those. And then the base URL here. Now, if you have a domain, you can go ahead and create a cname and have that cname point to your Amazon virtual cloud server. You would put that cname in here if that is the case, but if you don't understand that or you haven't done that, you can just leave it as is. Perhaps we'll create a video down the line of creating cnames and the benefits of decoupling your interfaces using cnames. But for now, we'll just leave it at that. And once again, we'll wait while it's configured. And now you have a few options. You can specify that you want to use it for project tracking, or for software development, or for IT requests. So there's multiple choices here. We're going to go ahead and take this option here, the first one. We're going to go ahead and specify. At this point, it's pretty straightforward. You can set up a license, set up an account. You can get an evaluation license, and at that point, you're pretty much in. So I think this is actually going to be a good spot to stop the video. And maybe later on down the road, I'll go over configuring Jira and setting up your projects and stuff like that. But this video really just wanted to focus on setting up the EC2 server and getting Jira installed on it. And if you're at this point, your Jira is installed, and the rest is pretty much just signing up with Atlassian, getting your license key if that's something you want to do, and then just setting up Jira to use. But at this point, you have your own. So I mean, as a startup, that's really cool to have your own Jira server. So if it ever comes up, how are you tracking your bugs? You can say, hey, I've got a Jira server that's completely dedicated to bug tracking, improvement requests, feature requests, and project management. So looks really good. It'll save a lot of headache, and that's pretty much all there is to it. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If there's anything you might like to see in the future, well, we're going to continue this as we learn things on our journey getting CiproCore Solutions started up. We will most certainly share those with you guys. One of our cornerstones here at CiproCore Solutions is that information should be freely shared. The smarter we all are together, the better the technology is going to improve. So we're not going to hog all of our information to ourselves. We're going to freely share it with you guys. So anything you want to see, or anything you'd like to see differently, just please let me know, and we'll continue on with these video tutorials. When our website launches at ciprocoresolutions.com, we will have a learn section, and these video links will be there, as well as on YouTube. And then we'll also have just basic write-ups, and on different things, on lots of different technologies, and we'll have Apple support type stuff on there, and stuff like this. So just make sure to stay tuned. Follow us on Twitter at CiproCore if you want to stay up to date on all these different kinds of videos, and let us know what you think. And thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll speak with you soon.